Talking Up a Storm is an installation art piece where participants have control over a virtual weather system. The premise of the piece is that a participant making a sound in the active area generates clouds and precipitation in a virtual world projected onto a screen. The louder the sound, the more cloud and precipitation is created. The exhibition space is set up with 6 microphones suspended overhead and a contoured map laid out on the floor. A model lighthouse is situated in one corner of the island, aiding the mapping of the real space to the virtual world. A ceiling-mounted projector projects images of the virtual world onto a screen that has been suspended in such a way as to create a false fourth wall in the exhibition space. This is to add a feeling of containment within the piece. Speakers are also used to feedback sounds made within the active space of the exhibit.
When users are standing on the mapped area, they are in the active space for the exhibit. Any sound made within this area is picked up by the microphones overhead. Sound at each microphone is constantly fed into a computer via the audio processing program MSP. Each microphone's volume is converted to a discrete MIDI value, then sent to Macromedia's director program for further processing. Using a method of triangulation, the loudest microphone is detected, and then the 2 nearest microphones are located to complete the triangle. Comparing the 3 signals gives an indication of the location of the original sound.
As there are 6 microphones, this means there are 2 sound sources that can be calculated simultaneously using this triangulation process. Once the source of the sound is located in the real world, a series of constantly updating isobars are created in Director.
This is essentially a 2D overhead view of the island, where the areas of the most intense volume equate to isobars with the most drastically changing pressure. Once the areas of pressure are located, the virtual world dynamically updates itself so that areas of precipitation are generated in the same region of the island. The larger the pressure change, the higher the clouds rise, and eventually precipitation is generated. This can be in the form of rain, snow, or with an unusually large pressure change, frogs.
The virtual world itself is created using Macromedia Director and is a small, undulating island complete with trees, houses, beaches and a lighthouse. The sun rises and sets, the moon comes into view and the lights in the houses come on. The light from the lighthouse constantly revolves.
The contour mappings from the island are laid out on a carpet map in the installation space to give the user a sense of orientation. Also, to aid orientation, a lighthouse is in the exhibition space with a virtual counterpart in the equivalent space in the virtual world. In addition, an alternative display of the data is shown using a simple flash-based weather report. The report updates itself constantly with the current weather in a particular area of the island.
The audio signal is processed with VST plugins in Mac's MSP. The input frequency is lowered and delay and reverb are added. The resulting signal is then fed back to the user via loudspeakers to give the overall effect of rumbling thunder. The whole system is running on 3 computers. One to process the audio data and create the isobars, another to generate the virtual 3-dimensional world, and a third to act as a server and generate the weather report. This is achieved using FlashComm server, which means that the CPU-intensive audio and graphics processing can be shared across several machines.
Talking Up a Storm works on several levels, though the most apparent are Active, where the participants interact directly with the piece, trying to influence what is happening in the virtual world by their own actions. And passive, where the piece becomes more of a performance. Those taking a passive role are happy to observe the active participants, thus blurring the distinction between interaction and performance. Most active participants are somewhat shy when they first encounter the piece. However, after seeing positive results in the effect they have on the virtual world, they grow in confidence, becoming louder as they try to have a greater effect on the virtual environment.
There is also a communal aspect to the active participation of the piece. Participants cajole others into the active space, trying to get them to join in to achieve more extreme results. Often these users do not know each other, merely coming together in order to interact with the piece.
Also, competition arises between groups within the active space. Clusters of users set themselves up against each other, standing on opposite sides of the map. This shows how people appropriate the installation towards game-like, playful pursuits. Talking Up a Storm's flexibility as an artistic installation allows users to interact with a piece in a way in which they feel comfortable. The user chooses the level at which they wish to connect with the system and can easily move from passive observer to active performer with little or no encouragement. Observed users seem to enjoy this experience and walk away from the exhibit smiling.